Hi, my name is Terry Westwell and welcome back to Panic at the Book Club. This week we're discussing How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. If you'd like to take part in this online book club, you can find out more information on how via the channel's intro video. We list the next 4 books down below and on TikTok along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. We also accept your book feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send in a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message on Instagram. Grace has killed several people. Some brutally, some calmly. Yet she currently sits in jail for a murder she didn't commit. As she thinks about what she actually did, Grace feels somewhat sad that nobody will know the complex operation she undertook. Of course, getting away with it is highly preferable, but maybe one day when she's long gone, someone will open the safe and find her confession. The public will reel. After all, almost nobody could understand how someone at a tender age of 28 could calmly kill 6 members of their own family and continue living their lives with no regrets, like nothing happened. It's a wickedly dark read about class, family, love, and of course, murder. Just your friendly spoiler alert that if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point, there may be spoilers. The chapter lengths of this book were pretty inconsistent, but for the most part, they were a little bit longer than my ideal. A lot of the chapters being about 20-something pages long, but some of them being as long as 40 or even 50 pages long. Like, sometimes I would continue to read, telling myself that, I'll just go to sleep after I've finished this chapter, only to realise that I still have 20-something pages left to the end. After reading that first chapter, I thought the book was definitely going to be for me. I loved how it's written, I loved the humour, and I loved the very British attitude that didn't feel forced. It was definitely a great first chapter of a book. It was gripping, it was suspenseful, and it captured my attention, making me just want to continue reading. I mean, how could I not? The author did a brilliant job with detail and character building, and really giving you a sense of what these people were like. I think it really is impressive if a book can make you side with the murderer. Like, you could really understand Grace's feelings. Her mum seemed so sweet and she was betrayed, and this family just seemed awful. Grace's hatred for them really shone through, and despite knowing that logically it would make no sense for Simon to admit his infidelity, risking his family, his career, all of that, his public image, it didn't make me hate him any less. So I didn't exactly feel much of a loss when it came to the grandparents. Those guys were assholes. But when it came to Andrew, I don't know, it was different. If any of the immediate family deserved to get let off of the list, it was probably that guy. I mean, he was strange and he was a little bit of a hippie, but he knew how bad his family was, he knew how terrible they were, and he actively tried to get away from that. I suppose it's just that in comparison, Andrew's death just felt like a shame. 2 very different reactions and vibes for a murder. The chapter with the uncle was definitely the weirdest part of this book, but I think it was also the best part. There was a lot of planning and detail, and it was dark. Let's be honest, any moment where she wasn't planning a murder or a murder wasn't happening, we just wanted her to get back to crossing names off that list. If I learn anything about this book, it's that 1, Grace can't plan for anything. I'd hate to side with Henry because he was a dick, but luck was pretty much just on her side the whole time. Although Grace is a murderer, she's actually a pretty likeable character, although I wouldn't want to be friends with her, considering that the only thing she really sees in people are how can they benefit me. The chapters with Grace's childhood and the chapters of her being in prison really added some more context and obviously set up for that twist, but was it necessary? I'm not sure. I think in some ways it also just made what was already a really slow burn feel even slower. Also, the twist at the end, I didn't really find all that surprising. I didn't know it was going to have such a negative ending, but I just felt like the young guy who was reading in the background, the guy who was in the club, like, I just felt like those clues were too obvious. After the uncle died, everything else just started to get more and more anticlimactic. And I thought Bryony's was heading in a good direction, but then it just sort of got cut short and just sort of happened. And then Simon's was the definition of anticlimactic. In fact, despite being able to build such disdain for the character, Simon really wasn't in it. I just felt like the author realised that she was going on a bit, and therefore the rest were a little rushed, and the ending wasn't nearly surprising enough to make up for it. It was by no means a bad ending. I mean, it wasn't a happy one, but I wasn't totally dissatisfied. I just felt like I was waiting for this big showdown. I mean, it was a little disappointing that Henry turned out to just be another horrible member of the family. He could have joined forces with Grace and they could have bonded, but instead I just hope that Grace gets better at planning and continues with her list. So as for the question, would I recommend the book? Absolutely. I think this author is brilliant at character building and pulling out emotions from the reader. Oh wow, this is a lot more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. I did enjoy it, but I found myself often getting distracted. It was a book that I wish I'd taken my time to enjoy rather than reading it within the 1 week. It was a really slow burn, and sometimes my attention span had a hard time with that. But it was really funny, emotional, and overall just a really enjoyable read. But let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Shelley's loving this book so far. Sometimes it's a little slow, making it hard to read, but it's a great story. She's not sure if it's the genre or the style of writing, but she has stuck with it so far and really enjoyed it. Shelley said she would definitely recommend. It's a good story with a dark side that kept her interested. She loved the reasons and the learning curves that Grace went through. She definitely felt like she got to know the character. Next week we'll be discussing 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tillie Cole, so don't forget to get your comments and thoughts in by Monday the 29th of January at the latest to be part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok or Instagram. The following week will be Shadowing the Ember, but don't forget if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below and on TikTok, along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It always means a lot, and I will see you all next week. Bye!